important, but that's when they found out I wasn't retarded.
Because you were saying that you started typing, you were talking sort of like nonsense. But then you were typing, but you couldn't handwrite, and you were using a machine called the Commodore.
It's an old computer. In those days, they reeled it in, so they didn't know I could spell or I could read or any of those things.
And you were about 12 at this point?
That was when, yeah, I was 12 when they realized I was not retarded.
Because of your writing on the Commodore, but not
on the computer. I already knew how to read, but nobody knew it, and I knew how to spell, but nobody else knew it, and I didn't have the coordination for handwriting, so I could barely get my name together. So.
And then your talking was the repeating of words.
Yeah, and then so like when I finally got my words, for the longest time it was like nonsense talking for like years, almost. So it wasn't until I was 12 when they brought in a computer and they were typing on it, and I started pounding on the buttons and spelling things, and that was when I forgot his name was Mr. White. He said, "What is this and where is this coming from?" They wanted to know who had been spelling things on the computer, and it turned out to be me. And that was when they were like, "Oh no, we have to but I had this nonsense talk then."
But did your talk then start to change after that?
Yes, because they had to start. They were then they did all these other kind of therapies. My therapies changed, because before my therapies were like to button my shirt or tie my shoelace or to keep still or to shut up or to behave. This was like
life skills, they call that.
Yeah, those was like my therapies. Then, like when they found out that I was pounding, because it was easier. You could just hit the button and there was the word. I didn't have to do the whole.
And did you do it by yourself?
Yeah. So I I put the words, so I start stringing words together and all kinds of words and stuff. And then, like if I saw something I read in a book which they didn't know I was reading, I would because I had good memory, and I would type out the phrase in the book, and then Mr. White, he was thought I was just copying, and then he would make me look at the page, then he would close the book and put it away, and then I think it bothered him a lot because I typed the sentence that I saw word by word, and that was it's I don't know why they think it. I guess people think something like that's remarkable just because they can't do it. So it's weird, because if I just saw a sentence or I just saw a paragraph, how can I just simply forget it when I'm typing? They asked me to type it. It didn't make sense to me why that would make sense, except that he was saying that it's not something that
typical people could do.
Yeah, but that don't make sense to me. I don't understand. If they could do so many other things, how could they just look at a sentence or a paragraph or a page and not remember it? like, I mean, if they just saw it, how could they just forget it? I
And
mean,
then earlier today, you said something to Dove about how when you started talking, it was hard. Talking where it wasn't just repeating words for no, just to hear the word come out. That it was hard to start. Remember at lunchtime, you were saying to Dove how hard it was to transition to actually talking,
yeah,
talking, and that it was very strange to have the communication or the sounds coming out of your mouth and talking. It was a big step, a big
it's
leap.
anxiety. You get a little bit more anxious every time you do it, and then you might just, fall back because it's but you move past it and stuff. But the thing with Jamie too. That's how he read. I did that too afterwards.
Mm-hmm. You're reading what you
It
wrote.
took a while. Like that was when they realized. You see, now that was different from. I can't say because I started independent typing,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's why I could believe in something like FC because um, I had to type first, and I mean before I mastered speech, I uh, I could do that, and that was what changed because all the therapies changed after that. Then they were having me spelling and doing more interesting things, and the books they let me have were different books. They were more advanced books. I mean, they didn't even seem to mind that I still tore the pages out, and sometimes I would still try to eat the pages. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I did this, but I had this thing where I would read and then tear the page out and try to eat it. I still don't know why, but I did. But I mean, they let me have different kind of books. They would just try to take the book away before I tore the page out and things. And um, and then I was on the computer all the time.
Mm.
And then they would like ask me a question, and then I would type the answer on the computer. And but I didn't have I was just uh, and it was awkward because it was like conversation time, like conversation and and that sort of thing. And um, and then I was able to get speech therapy and all this, and I did like a lot. This was later,
Mm-hmm.
where I did like what Jamie did, like read what I wrote. Um, Once I put it out there, and then I could read it. Oh, I read books too. I could read. Like before I could have conversation or before I monologue, I was able to learn like read things out loud too. And that
Mm-hmm.
it took a while to get there, and at the same time didn't understand. They didn't know whether I could if I was reading and whether I was understanding, and they had to do all kinds of tests to see like if I was understanding what I was reading,
Mm-hmm.
because it was like I was like I could read out loud, but then but still I wasn't making a conversation.
When did you, about how old were you when you started to be able to do some conversation without a keyboard and reading and things?
I was already like um, almost like 14.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had I, my speech was still limited. 14, 15. I was up until I was 19 where my speech was like um, mm, I, I I was nowhere near where I'm at now. I, you know.
So it's been a long journey.
Yeah, well, but I mean, I could still use it as a tool. I mean, I was doing things like say if my do you want to eat breakfast now or later? I will say now, or or
Like your nephew.
yeah, like that. But I mean, I still practiced, and you see, if I could write something out on a paper, I could say what I was thinking when I read it out. Like I was like the letter writer, because people would were like, if I got mad at something, at somebody, they would almost know until they got a letter, because I would type out like, because you made me upset when so and I would like retaliate, and I think you're mean and ugly and nasty. I don't